If your Mac photo library contains multiple copies of the same photos or dozens of nearly identical shots, you don't have to review your entire collection one photo at a time. I'll show you the duplicate finder already built into your Mac, how to get additional control with PhotoSweeper, and what you need to check before deleting anything. But first, you need to understand the difference between an exact duplicate and a similar photo, because treating them the same way can lead to mistakes. Hi, I'm Paul Einarsen, a certified photo manager and Apple expert. I help people organize and protect their photo collections, and today I'll walk you through the safest ways to remove duplicate photos from your Mac. Before we start, here's some things to check. First, confirm that all your photos are in one place that the deduplication software can access. In these examples, we're working with the Apple Photos library, which is usually in the Pictures folder in your user account. Next, be sure that your photo collection is properly backed up before making any large changes. This is usually through Time Machine or on an extra hard drive. Check that iCloud Photos is connected to all your devices and syncing properly. This is important because you want the deduplication software to be seeing all the duplicates across your devices. And also because when you delete the duplicates, you want that change to be automatically happening on each device as well. If that's not what you intend, then you need to disconnect the device from your network and deal with each device separately. Lastly, just because two photos look the same doesn't mean they're actual duplicates. The software looks at many details to decide if the images are the same or close enough to be considered unnecessary duplicates. We'll go into more detail about that in a minute, but there are often some pictures that need your personal judgment before you merge or delete. Before we start cleaning up, it's important to understand that we're actually dealing with two different things: duplicate photos and similar photos. True duplicates are additional copies of the same image. They often build up because we're trying to protect our photos. For example, you may have exported photos into folders as a manual backup years ago, then later re-imported them because you weren't sure whether they were already in your library. Sharing can create duplicates too. Someone sends an old family photo back to you, and because you can't remember who took it originally, you save it again. Photos can also make a round trip through shared albums, or we may create additional versions while editing. Then we have similar photos. These aren't exact copies. They're separate images taken moments apart. Think about handing your phone to someone at dinner and getting back 12 nearly identical group shots. Group photos, action sequences, and bursts can quickly add dozens of similar images to your library. Both kinds add clutter, take up storage, and make it harder to know which photos you've organized or added to albums. But they shouldn't be treated equally in the same way. Once verified, a true duplicate may be an easy candidate for removal. Similar photos require you to compare them and choose the best expression, focus, or moment. So as we look at the cleanup options, we'll be searching for both exact duplicates and similar photos, and reviewing the results before anything is deleted. Okay, so we've talked about the steps you need to go through to set yourself up for a deduplication sweep. So now we're going to talk about the software itself. And I'm going to start by focusing on Apple Photos. It's a great entry into deduplication. It does a great job, and it's a wonderful place to start, get you used to the process. So in Apple Photos on the Mac, if we start up here in Library View, down in the sidebar here, somewhere down here, you're going to see Utilities. And in Utilities, if you don't see it, it may be because it's closed. and you'll have to mouse over and find this little downward arrow to open it up. But inside there you'll see duplicates. And when you open duplicates, you'll get a view that looks something like this. You'll have the pairs, in this case pairs, you may have more than two. You may have multiples. I've seen some that have like 6 versions that somehow has gotten into Apple Photos, and they all show up in a list here. So at this point, you have your options. I'm going to go down here to some simple ones. Okay, so these recent shots here are exact duplicates, and so everything about these, except potentially the metadata, is the same. Somehow they've gotten in here and created themselves for reasons I really don't know. If I right-click on one of these images, I can go get info and pull up the info palette. And this is where we can see other stuff that is included in the file. So this is the metadata. There could be a keyword here. There could be descriptions. It could be that one of these files exists in one album and not another. For some reason, they're here and it's offering to delete one of them as a pair. If I click on the other one, I can actually click back and forth and compare the data, and I'm not seeing any data changes. We have the same file size, we have the same dimensions, the same file format. So as far as I'm concerned, these are true duplicates. And all we have to do to get rid of them is click on merge. In this case, it's merge 2 items. It could be merge 6 items, whatever is there. Now, when we do that, we'll get this dialog, which says, merge duplicates. The selected items are exact copies that may have different metadata. Merging will keep one version of the duplicates that combines relevant data and move the rest to recently deleted. So the point here is that we're not actually merging the image itself. What we're merging is the data associated with the one image into the other image. So we have a complete image that Apple has judged as the highest quality of the images available, and it has all the merged metadata from both images in the one remaining image, which is great. So if I hit merge exact copies, what happens is that that pair disappears because one of them is now in the recently deleted folder, which you can check and verify. And the other one, if we go to July 4th in the library, and so it remains. So if we go back to duplicates, then we can continue on. Now, there is another pair here that I can show you. So here is the other example. So this is a case where they're not exact duplicates. And even though they look like it, I know they're not exact duplicates because if I go and get info, one of these is actually 36 megabytes, and it's a TIFF file, whereas this one is only 3.5 megabytes, and it's a JPEG file. So there's two wildly different sizes here, even though the picture itself is the same. This is an example of what I mentioned where I have a photo app that I use instead of the camera app. And what it does is it preserves a full high-resolution raw image and then creates a companion small JPEG image. So I know that these are here. This is my choice now. I can keep these both so that I have both versions of this, and that's fine. or I can decide to keep one and get rid of the other. If I go to merge to these two images now, I get a slightly different message, which says the selected items appear to be the same, but may have unique resolutions, file formats, or other slight differences. Merging will keep one version of the duplicates that combines the highest quality and the relevant data and move the rest to recently deleted. So I'm going to keep these right now because this is for some of my other stuff and I want to have both of them. But you will see probably something like that, and this is a great example of where if you had if you'd shared a photo in messages or WhatsApp or something else, and a friend then sometime later sent it back to you, and the file size was changed, and the file name was changed, and maybe the date on it was stripped, it would come back and you'd have a similar situation where you put it back in here. It really wasn't as good as the one that you already have in your library. So in this case, merging would do the job of getting rid of the lesser one and keeping the good one, which is exactly what we want. Now, what you'll see, if I want, in this case I have several thousand images here that are duplicates. If I click on one and I right click and do let's see, select all. Nope, I have to do Command A to select all. And now if I say merge, let's see, I will get a message down here. Okay, so it says I have 10,000 images and some videos, and I can choose up here to merge 10,000 items. If I click on that, now I get this message that applies to all of them. And what it says is, duplicates include both exact copies that may have different metadata, as well as photos that may appear to be the same, but may have unique resolutions, file formats, and other slight differences. So what it's saying is, it recognizes that I have both situations in this one collection. I have many of them, about 5,000, or excuse me, I have about 6,000 that are exact copies, and or I could merge all of them, including the ones that are slightly different. It's my choice. So if I choose the 6,000 exact copies, I will still end up with the group of photos like these, which I can deal with separately. I can either come back another time and check on them, or I can just live with them in my library feed and deal with them as I want. So the duplication tool gives you a lot of flexibility here. What you probably want to do, what I suggest you do, is the first time around, you're going to want to try a couple of these just as individual pairs so that you are confident it's doing what you want it to do. And after going through a couple of dozen of these, my guess is you'll have faith in the system and let it just do its thing. So that is a deduplication tool that's built into Apple Photos. One other component of it is that Apple Photos is always refining itself. It's always checking the files that are in there. So it's very possible that you will run this deduplication and you may even get rid of all the duplicates, in which case you won't see it won't offer you deduping at all. Duplicates will actually not appear. if it doesn't see any duplicates. But after a couple of weeks or maybe a month, and if you come back and check it again, you may find it actually has found some other duplicates. The takeaway is that duplicates in Apple Photos is an easy, reliable way to declutter your Photos library with built-in safeguards to hold your hand. If this video is helping you understand your Mac Photo library better, please give it a like so more people can find it. Apple's tool works well for straightforward duplicates, but what if you have two files that aren't identical, or you have 12 slightly different photos from the same moment? What do? PhotoSweeper is a third-party deduplication app that's a solid alternative if you want more control of the process. You can find it in the Mac App Store. PhotoSweeper is useful if you want more help evaluating similar photos left over from the Apple Duplicate tool. And where Apple Photos duplicate selection is defined by Apple, PhotoSweeper lets you set your own parameters and see the image differences in detail. PhotoSweeper is also able to scan folders of pictures that are not in your Photos library. Now, PhotoSweeper is a much more complex application than the duplicate detection in Apple Photos. PhotoSweeper is an entire application devoted to doing nothing but finding the duplicates and the sequences of photos in your collection. So we can't go into all the details here, but I want to give you a little overview and a sample of what it does so that you can make judgment as to whether your particular task is a Apple Photos level task or whether it's a PhotoSweeper level task. And we'll give you a tool here at the end to help you determine that. So, PhotoSweeper, let's open it up. And when you see it for the first time, you're going to get this kind of dialogue. Basically, it gives us three different ways that we can view the collection that we're looking at. We're going to start with single list mode, which is really the most straightforward. And I'm going to expand this out so that it uses the whole screen. Okay. Now, the first step in using PhotoSweeper is to have it scan the collection that you want to evaluate. So this would either be the Photos app that you're using. It could be after you've actually done a duplicate sweep in Photos. You could use this to fine-tune it. Or this may be a separate folder of photos, loose photos, that are just sitting around and you don't know if it contains 50% duplicates or not. This is a way that you can help establish that. So the first thing we do is we can drag and drop onto this, or I can click this and get a dialog. And I know that my Photos collection exists in my Photos, my Pictures folder. And here it is. This is my Photos. Okay. So now we are looking at the same photos that we were looking at in the Photos application itself. So now that we have our photos imported into PhotoSweeper, we have to tell it what to do. I'm going to scroll down here to the bottom and hit the compare button. And when we do that, what we get are three choices here of what we want to work with. We can look for duplicate files, which we've already done in Apple Photos, so we're going to pass on that. We can look at similar photos, which is what was in question before, and you can do series of photos as well. So you may have, if you're shooting with a camera, you may have it set for sequences, deliberately, and this would identify those kinds of shots and so forth. But for now, we're going to go back here to similar photos and choose that. And we have some options here. We have basic settings and advanced, which gives us more detail about just how exact we want it to be. Sometimes setting up a very advanced setting just means that it's going to take 3 times, 4 times as long to process all the images. And you may not get a dramatically different result. So these are things that each individual has to sort of play around with and come up with a formula that works well for you and gets you the level of precision that you're looking for. Again, this is really one of the key differences between PhotoSweeper and Apple Photos. In Apple Photos, you're letting the software make its best judgment for you. In PhotoSweeper, you have a lot of controls and a lot more specific options that you can play with if that is useful for the library that you've got. So I'm going to use basic settings here to move this along, and just a couple of, this gives you a sense of what you have to work with here. I'm going to say I want it to judge photos of any size, so it could be that there's a file that's an enlargement of the original or it's a reduction of the original. I want it to look at those as equal photos, and I will decide later which one of those I want to keep and which one I want to get rid of. In this case, I don't care what the file name is. I don't care that, if the file has been renamed. I'm really just concerned about the image itself. And then we have some other settings here as well, the time between 2 different photos and so forth. So I'm just going to say start here so we can see how this goes. And as you see, it is actually skimming through, it's processing all the pictures that we have included in this selection. And we're going to see here how this plays out. Okay, we're now at the end of that search, and so it's found a number of groups that it considers to be similar photos, and it's asking us here, do we want to auto mark them? So I'm going to tell it to go ahead and do that. I've set up some preferences before about how I want it to distinguish that. But what's really handy about this is, again, once we've pinned down our preferences, we can have the software mark the ones that we believe are keepers based on those settings and which ones we want to discard. All right, now it has collected these groupings, and I'm going to get this out of full screen mode so that you can see the pictures a little easier. So right now, what it's done is it's found 11,700 photos in 4,481 groups. So if we just say okay, that we're okay with everything it's picked, what it's going to do is reduce this collection down to 4,481 or by 4,481 images, which will give us a lot of photos that we can set aside in a folder someplace. We can delete them directly if we're comfortable doing that. These are all things that you'll determine as you play around with this. And we can go through these groups one by one to get a feel for what the differences are. Here's most of these look very similar, and so we know that after going through these for a bit, that we have some confidence that it's picking out the ones that we want to keep and the ones we want to get rid of. So that's really the essence of PhotoSweeper. It gives you more detail, a lot more controls about what you want to do, but you may find over time, particularly in Apple Photos, once you've gotten the main collection narrowed down, As you go forward, you may find that there are really very few duplicates that you continue to add, and you may be very comfortable just reducing them by using the Apple Photos duplication feature that's built in. So let's review. The first thing you're going to do is collect all your photos in one place, whether that's Apple Photos, library, or whether that's a folder that you're going to scan with PhotoSweeper. You then want to back that up so that you have a copy you can go back to if something doesn't go as you expect. Third, remember that the software is evaluating the images to find the duplicates based on the file quality and the metadata, and you want to double check and make sure that you agree with what it's finding. Finally, the discards should not immediately go to the trash. You should set those aside. Again, just so that you can check everything, be sure you're satisfied before you do a total deletion of the extras. It goes without saying, Apple Photos and PhotoSweeper are just two of the most popular apps that we use to manage duplicates. But there are others. The overall caution is simply that you don't want to have an app do everything for you automatically without some sort of oversight. You want to be able to check what it does before you finally delete the quote duplicates and make sure that the choices are what you want. To help you through the deduplication process, we've created a free handout that shows the comparison between Apple Photos duplicate detection and PhotoSweeper. You can find a link to it in the notes below. Also, there's a link to the Photo Manager's Academy, where you can get a comprehensive training video for PhotoSweeper and other photo management software.